Pat McGrew with McGrew Group. I am here with my colleague, Brian McAbee from Pixel Consulting, and we are here to talk to this great Solimar customer. Brandon Fee is the development manager for our friends at FSSI. Many of you know FSSI. They're one of the leading providers of statement production in the US. They are known for creating highly efficient workflows in addition to producing for their customers on time, every time. So Brandon, thanks so much for taking some time with us.
Thanks for having me.
We are delighted to be able to have just a quick discussion about how you work with the Solimar products. And Ryan, we had this great conversation with both Brandon and our good friend Henry Perez back a couple of months ago as we were working on some case study material, and we learned a lot of really cool things.
We certainly did, and definitely how FSSI implements a Solimar SOLsearcher and kind of white labels it into their own environment. And so, Brandon, I guess the best place to start is obviously when you're a transaction printer and you're serving up so many documents in the millions for your clients through ePresentment and so forth. What kind of things are you definitely looking for in a solution, an ePresentment solution like SOLsearcher that you need in your environment because you need it to scale? You're serving hundreds of customers, hundreds of applications across the board. So what were the key elements there?
Right. I'd say the number one thing is reliability, right? So uptime. So customers, our clients and their customers have access, 24/7 essentially to their documents online. That's the number one key factor. Another key factor would be the security of those documents, making sure they're in a secure environment, only accessible by the correct people, the right access.
Yeah, and how does it also play into, or does it play into it in terms of kind of like speed of delivery, speed of actually ingesting that information and then being able to turn it around quickly for the ePresentment side as well? Is that a critical aspect as well?
That's correct. Yeah, you hit it right on the nail on the head there. Yeah, speed to delivery to customers is huge. So we go through a process where we index documents, high volume, like you mentioned before. And so there could be thousands that we're processing at a time. So having those documents indexed quickly and available online quickly as well is very important.
What's kind of, just to give a ballpark, what's kind of the minimum turnaround time that you've had to do for clients? I think that'll help give some context into how quickly you guys can actually do these things too.
Right. So I mean, you have the onboarding process for clients when we're setting up new development. So that's one aspect, and just going through that process, there is a nice tool set for admins and users to set up new archives or document repositories. And we've streamlined that process pretty quickly to where we can turn around an onboarding process for new clients, and we've streamlined that, like I said. And then the actual quick turnaround times for when we process production files, getting those online, we set a pretty high standard on that timing. So typically say at least same day. We just give a few hour time period from time of processing. We tell our clients documents should be available within a few hours.
And so, Brandon, I understand that you're using SOLsearcher Enterprise, and of course, because this is a Solimar video, we always want to sort of zero in on where the value proposition was that you found in implementing SOLsearcher Enterprise, and what your relationship with Solimar is like.
So first of all, our relationship with Solimar is great. I mean, they have a really great technical support system available when we need them. So if there's any issues ever, there's a good channel to contact them, and there's quick response times. We've had, times in the past where we've needed them after hours and they've supported us, things like that. So really good relationship with the customer support team over there. And the other part of your question was just how we kind of came to the decision.
Yeah, because we understood that you had like a previous ePresentment solution, and you were looking for more speed and more output channel options, and eventually you found your way to Solimar to help you with that new solution set that you were building. How did that help you?
Yeah, so kind of what we talked about before. So the scalability was huge. As we got more and more clients, more volume, we needed a solution that could really handle that high volume and the speed of the delivery. So that was huge. And then also like I mentioned before, the security aspect of it. Solimar was just leading kind of in that arena as well. So all those key factors became one of our decisions to get the product.
And how are your customers? I know they must be kind of constantly now increasing what they want in terms of turnaround and throughput. We're in a we want it now kind of universe. So how are you keeping up with their constant demands?
Yeah, I mean that's huge. It's everyone wants it immediate, right? Every product. And so really it's just we rely on the tool itself to do its job, and it's doing a great job. So we set up the infrastructure with our eStreamOne platform a long time ago now. Forget how long ago that was, but it's been super solid. We've done little to no changes to the actual infrastructure itself.
And you use encryption in that environment, right? So all of the personally identifiable information is always well protected. We like to say security is not an option. It is absolutely a requirement. I think you guys find that as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's one of our main requirements, right? We're a ton of security requirements and audits and things like that. So we do fully encrypt the entire documents in Solimar and SOLsearcher, and it's a very seamless process when we had to do that. And so yeah, now we're totally secure encrypted environment.
Speaking of security, I think one of the lesser known features in SOLsearcher, but one that I think has a lot of practical applications that you also use. Can you tell us a little bit about how you were using and came across the identification tokens and what that really means in terms of the solution you could bring to your customer?
Sure. Yeah, identification tokens was a unique kind of custom requirement for some of our clients, where our clients needed access to a document archive, and they actually needed different groups to have different permissions to that archive. And so they had a client service representative group who needed full access to view every single document, but then they only wanted their customers to see documents that had redacted information without PII. And so what we did was we set up an identification token that we could assign to different user groups. So the CSRs got full access, where end users only got limited access.
Great feature to offer to your customers. I'm sure that provides differentiation for you.
Yes, yeah, it was a great find, and like I said before, customer support helped us kind of guide us towards that solution. And
yeah, another great interchange there with the support with the Solimar team, I think, and I know you'd mentioned that before. I guess another question I had. Obviously, security is a big issue in your kind of environment, but also just knowing that what you're outputting is the right thing at the right time. And it goes to speak to all your quality assurance programs that I know you are pretty extensive at FSSI. I think this has a lot of practical application for a lot of people that would listen to this too, in terms of how you kind of do your aggregation, your indexing, and then the comparison of data. It's almost like an automatic proofing kind of solution, if I wanted to kind of label it in a way. Walk us through how that evolved and how that also interplays with SOLsearcher too.
Sure. Yeah. So we index a lot of valuable information for the documents. Like account numbers, names, anything you're going to need to extract from the database itself. So we go through the SOLsearcher built-in kind of indexing process. We have the attached, substream, as you call it, that makes it kind of a part of that built-in process, part of our infrastructure itself. And what's great about SOLsearcher and a lot of our clients and vendors that we hear about is they require individual PDFs, right? And where SOLsearcher takes in aggregate PDFs, and the huge benefit to aggregate PDFs is the ability to share resources within a PDF and make that file size optimal and smaller than if you were to do individual PDFs. You can't share resources across those. So that's a huge benefit for aggregate PDFs and SOLsearcher. And part of the reason it works is because of the indexing that SOLsearcher has, where you can identify, which you can identify the statements within the aggregate PDF by calling out the page numbers and start and stop of all the statements. And so that's huge. And then what we added on top of that was our own validation QC process that verifies that there's no skewing in the index itself. And so typically there's no issues, but there are, things you have to consider that could on the front end cause things to happen on the back end. And so we built that QC process on the back end after everything's posted successfully to just verify that each document, we can read something on the document itself and match it back to the index, just to do a final verification. What the customers are seeing at the end of the day is what they should be seeing, and preventing any kind of security or privacy breaches.
It's all that critical stuff that needs to happen that the customer obviously is hopefully oblivious to, because what they get at the end is what they expect, right? But it's a lot of work underneath.
Comes with years of experience, and
it's why we love FSSI, because you do bring all that experience to the table. Brandon, I want to thank you so much for sharing the story of how FSSI is using the Solimar, the SOLsearcher Enterprise, and the eStreamOne platform, which I think is just a great story. I know your customers benefit greatly from it. We want to thank you for your time today. I'm Pat McGrew. This is my colleague Ryan McAfee as well, and we will see you on another episode.